right now, we've got to get into House of the Dragon, episode
Mhm.
5. And I'm like
Mhm.
trying to pace myself here, but I did bring another whiskey,
Ooh, Baratheon.
Baratheon this time. Yeah, we've seen some Baratheon in the show,
We
though not
did.
much was featured in this last
No, the
episode.
Lannisters were back. Jason Lannister was back, and nobody
Yeah.
was really excited to see him. Rhaenyra's eye roll said everything. Like,
Mhm.
"Get out
Mhm.
of here, clown." And I could not
That's true.
agree more. He was
I
just snooty and boring and boy bye.
you know, I was thinking about this today actually, how it kind of makes me a little sad that these are Tywin's ancestors. For me to think about that Tywin Lannister's ancestors is Jason and his
Okay,
twin.
yes, and they're also Jamie's ancestors, and can you not see that?
Yeah. Yes.
So, I
I
mean,
know
Tywin
tons
produced
of other
Jamie. I to
Lannisters,
I
yes.
totally get it, yeah. We're
Yeah.
only seeing this one guy, Jason, like, which is such a
Mhm.
douchey, like, name. Sorry, Jasons out there.
Wow.
I
Wow,
know,
Andrea.
but it is a common, like, douche guy Jason name. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, when they're trying to get, like, a douchey guy in a movie, there's a subset of names that I feel like people just sort of, like, rotate around, and Jason is occasionally one of them, and I just feel like it fits here.
Uh,
I mean, the
um,
only way it could be, like, more modern day reference douche, it would be, like, some sort of, like, Bronson or, like, just some sort of, like, bro name.
Andrea, we had 2 fans and one of them was named Jason, okay?
Whoopsie. Sorry, Jason.
I was gonna name my son Jason, okay?
You're a liar.
With a C, like Jason Solo, who's a
Nope.
twin with his sister Jaina.
Nope. You weren't gonna do it.
I have to say I want to like both of those names and do that, but I like so many other names more
Yeah.
because it would be cool to have 2 twins, boy and girl, Jason,
Totally,
Jaina, but
totally.
yeah. But now I definitely can't because Andrea says
Because
Jason's a
that says
douchebag.
douchey name. Actually, it's sad because, like, one of my favorite characters from one of my longest favorite running shows is named Jason, and I don't think he's a douchebag, but I do think Jason, like, works as, like, a signal for a douchey name.
Look,
Do.
people shouldn't be offended because the names conjure things in people's minds all the
Mhm.
time, and if you are a great Jason
Then you are.
we know you,
Like,
then you are, and
Jason
that
Momoa,
it
I
won't
love you.
exactly. Yes. So
I love
everybody,
you, but there is, like, a niche market in here for, like, broy names, and Jason
yeah,
can be one of them.
yeah. So everybody, you know, take a step back and relax. So I love it on ridiculousness. Rob Dyrdek, his go-to like bro name is Brad.
Brad, yeah,
He sees the clips, he doesn't know any of them. He just says Brad.
Brad,
So
yep, yeah,
yeah.
it's super true. There's just, like, certain names that just evoke certain things, like,
Hmm.
unfortunately, Karen is a thing now, and we all, like,
His
use, like,
hmm
a Karen
hmm
to describe someone, and it doesn't mean that there can't be cool Karens out there,
Yep.
but when I say it, y'all know what I mean now.
Yep. I mean, John, I had heard at times, like, oh, let's go to the John toilet.
Mm, mhm.
So everybody's
You're a
got
dirty
something.
John, you
Yeah.
pimp you.
Yep. Well, that's true.
Yep,
So, yeah.
yep. John's like, "I'll take that
Um,
one."
yeah. All right. So, yeah, this episode was it's really interesting.
It's packed.
We Yeah, it was like a lot of tension building for
Mhm.
sure. I really was waiting what's going to happen. Oh, perfect. The shot on the screen right now is how we open.
Ah,
And
I
what
I
an interesting thing.
yeah, I gotta say, I'm still on the train of loving the openings of this show. Cheers.
Mm, yeah.
Um love the openings of this show, and this opening little mini tableau movie, story
Mhm.
that was told in like 5 minutes. I just continued the tradition. I loved it. It was everything. It was amazing. I guessed it right away. Like, I mean, not while, she was galloping across the scene or whatever, but literally as this woman pulled up her horse and there was a hooded figure in her path, I was watching her, she spoke, and I looked at her and I was like, "I think it's Damon's wife." And Chris was like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Her armor, it's bronze. He calls her the bronze bitch. Like, I'm
Mm.
really certain this is her." And then it was her, and I was just like, "Oh my god." Like I knew
I
it.
I thought it was her even earlier than that. I'm, like, not confident. It was just like, "Okay, who have we not seen yet? We've been
Right.
asking to see for a long time now,
Right.
and, here we have her." So,
Right.
I yeah.
She's here and she giveth and she taketh away. Like she's here and
Mhm.
she's gone. I loved it. It was so fabulous to meet her for just this like split
Yeah.
second. That's all we needed.
Uh, and I'm in this love-hate relationship always with the after show commentary, but I did
Mhm.
like how this was kinda set up, like, we really don't exactly know, and they kinda like the passage from the book
Yes.
talking about how she died and, like, how that kind of made them think
Odd.
that this yeah, and so it's like there's heavy suggestion, obviously, of, like, foul play, and I mean, obviously, she's finished off, but, like,
Mhm.
we the
Initially, though, it's
yeah,
unclear.
right, and we don't really know how this, actually unfolded in the books, and so we kind of get a little peek here in the show, but it's not particularly detailed either. What
Yeah.
was his intent in going there? You know, was this how he, how would you foresee this being the outcome? Was he
Mhm.
ready to just murder her anyways? What
Right. Or was there
we,
something else he was coming here
yeah,
to wrangle? I mean, was he really coming for like, let's just get a divorce or like let's figure out a way to be estranged or let's, figure out something. I
yep,
don't know.
yep. So that was interesting. And then we get this episode is really about the king
Oh,
putting in
wait,
place.
hold
Oh,
on.
go ahead.
Hold on. I just want to know. So, was she what you expected at all, or were you disappointed? Did you want something else for Damon's wife?
I
Or was
was
this kind of like fun to just be
This
like,
was one
she's
of
not a
2
horrible old
things.
hag?
Yeah, this is one of 2 things that I was expecting either, like, someone that was either really meek and just not, maybe crippled in some way or something like
Mhm.
that, or someone that was pretty strong and like, self-sufficient. One of those
Mhm.
2 I felt like was probably the case. And the fun
Yeah.
thing is we still I mean, obviously, it suggests heavily the latter.
Right.
But we still don't know who she is or what she's
Right.
like or what their relationship was like other than they didn't like each other.
Right.
Um,
There's a lot of
so
contempt in
yeah,
that scene in those like 2 minutes. Well done, actors.
yeah. I I was happy with what I saw,
Mhm.
you know? And
Yeah.
it again,
Yeah.
it leaves us to guess a little bit and question some things and not exactly know, even though we
Right.
saw her now.
Right, yeah, I was kind of along the lines of you where she was either gonna be one of 2 things, which was this, which was young, not bad looking. I mean,
No, it's pretty.
she seemed pretty, but, like, strong-willed and just,
Yeah.
like, totally ready to just rip Damon a new one, which he would hate.
Mhm.
Or she was gonna be some, like, haggard, old, like, harpy, not attractive, and just,
Right.
someone that clearly Damon was foisted off on, which, I mean, he was on her too, but at least it was like, she's young, she seems, decently put together, fit, sound of
Yeah.
mind. So,
Yeah.
not the worst match you could make. So, yeah, I was kind of waiting for either one of these 2 things. And I
Yeah.
wasn't disappointed.
Right. Yeah, who she reminds me, of, what was she reminds me of a more realistic version of who had his dick cut off? What's his name in Game of
Theon?
Thrones? Yes, his
Theon's
sister.
sister?
Yes. more
Yeah.
realistic version of her. Just
Gotcha.
like
Yeah, totally.
competent, she hunts and stuff. And I could, I mean, obviously, I don't know Damon that well right now. He still has a lot of mysteries to him. But
Right.
to me, that could almost be a relationship that works.
Mhm.
Someone that you can like feel good butting heads with, and
Mhm.
like you feel this person is competent and you really are, as opposed to someone that you kind of want to, it's too easy to push around, you know?
Right.
And you see that as pathetic. And
Right.
so she's not that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
he'd be
the
absolutely
Yara
bored.
version. Yeah. Right. So I don't know.
Oh, did you say
She's
Yara?
very interesting. Yeah. Yara. Yeah.
Yeah, Asha, Yara. Yeah. I at first almost said Asha, and then I remembered in the show they changed her to Yara.
Why would you do that?
It's I don't know.
She was a little like she felt a little heavy-handed. Like I liked her, but it was a
Mhm.
little heavy-handed. And then the whole bit with like letting her brother, you know, feel her up was a little like, I mean, that's
Definitely
a little
happens.
far. It's a little
Yeah.
far. So
Definitely happens though. It's very weird, but yeah,
yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
thing. Which, is definitely why, the producers were talking about, um, uh so Alfie Allen is the guy who plays Theon Greyjoy. They had talked about for a split second, having his sister Lily Allen play his
Oh yeah.
sister in Game of Thrones, and Alfie and Lily and everybody obviously was like, "Okay, well, this scene makes that impossible because 'cause we're not doing that."
I mean, you could do something where you're like body
You would
double
have to get
things.
body doubles.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely, because there's
So,
there's no way an actual brother-sister
yeah.
relationship could survive that.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
you'd be body doubles.
not even under the guise of acting, it would just be too weird.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah, so they abandoned that idea rather
What
quickly,
I
which
hear
I
you
think was the
saying is
right
they're
move.
not committed to their craft.
Yes, that was my point. Thank you for distilling that.
Um,
Ugh.
yeah, so we really were like the king seems
Mm,
pressed, understanding he needs to get his secession lined up
mhm,
and um, have this marriage go through,
mhm,
unite the houses like he
mhm,
failed to do,
mhm.
um, for better or worse.
Yep.
And yeah, it's sort of a because we see this in the where often he's having his attorney, he's going to have a long marriage, celebration, all that stuff, but it's really no pomp and circumstance with like traveling the sea, getting very sick, like let's
Looking
make this
weaker than he
happen.
is, and he is
Hmm.
already looking pretty darn weak.
Yeah.
And I mean that in terms of his physical health.
Right.
Like,
Hmm.
this episode, Viserys took a decline in
Yes.
every scene, I felt like, and kudos to that actor because I don't think it was just makeup. I think there was, like, physicality, there was, like, movements, behaviors, like, just the right amount of tired and sickly projection in his just whole demeanor. But
Hmm.
every scene I watched, I was like, "Oof, Viserys is going downhill."
Yep. Yep.
And it started, this very first scene of well, second scene of the episode, but first scene with him on the sea getting sick.
Yep. Yep. Hey, shout out to the hand, the new
Yes!
hand, right?
Our guy, Lionel
Hmm.
Strong. Yes. I was very pleased. I thought that was definitely the right choice. This guy is just like rock solid, still proves it throughout the episode.
Hmm.
He's there for Viserys when he gets sick. He's there to help him like through the whole negotiation, which doesn't last very long. But he's there through the negotiation with House Valarian. He's there at the wedding. Like he's
Yep.
there, giving him advice when Viserys is wondering, like, what's my legacy gonna be? And this guy's just like, hey, just here for your daily dose of pragmatism and realism. Like,
Yeah.
just gonna tell you not what you maybe want to hear, but what you need to. Gonna
Yep.
back away. So
Yep.
yeah, he's still my favorite.
Yeah, and we so like continuing this storyline, with shoring up the union of the houses and stuff here. We have
Mhm.
Rainier accepting this as like her responsibility now, understanding that
Mhm.
this is, going to be a path forward. But then getting, sort of thinking she has her path set out where she can have her cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Um, because it's really like, so she has her betrothed now,
Mhm.
who's not so much into her, but they've been friends, it sounds like, from a young age, so they're familiar
Mhm.
with one another. But they kind of strike this
Well,
deal.
they're familiar enough that she knows he's gay.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Mhm.
it doesn't seem to be like the realm's best kept secret, but I mean, you know, because his parents know, but like his dad
Don't wanna
clearly,
know. Yeah.
yeah, his dad clearly hasn't accepted it, even though like Renice is like, he likes men, and he's like, well, you could change.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, so she is very clearly, they take a walk along the beach where she very like heavy-handed hints like, I know you don't prefer me. I don't prefer you. It's all good. We're just going to be this great political alliance, and I'm going to allow you and you're going to allow me.
Yep. But this episode ruins that idea for sure.
Yeah.
We,
Yeah. I mean, so Rhaenyra has a really great idea, and then she forgets who she's dealing with. So Rhaenyra has a really great idea in this marriage of convenience to Laenor Valerian. It
Mhm.
serves the realm, it serves both of their houses, and it serves them. Like in theory, yes, like they don't need to be with each other when they're not like, okay, we're gonna like try to make an heir and it's all
Yeah.
good, and then we can just like part ways and do what we want to do. That idea in theory is all good.
Yep.
Then Rhaenyra forgets who she's talking to because she wants Sir Criston Cole, who, she's just bedded, to continue
Yeah.
their dalliance. And she totally forgets, like, his honor means so much to him
Mhm.
that he's not just going to be continue to be strung along on this, like, as a side piece.
Yeah.
On the flip side, Kristen forgets who he's talking to, and Rhaenyra's always wanted both freedom and the crown. And she's
Right.
not just giving up the crown to go run away in some like fantasy elopement across the sea where they
Yeah.
live out their days and she's just content to be his wife.
Mhm.
So they both like think that the little bits that they know each other and like the bits that they've been in each other's confidence means they know the whole person, and they just sort of like forget this whole they conveniently forget this like whole other piece,
Mhm.
which I mean, they can kind of be forgiven. I mean, Kristen did break his vows, so Rhaenyra might think like, okay, he might be inclined to do it again. Rhaenyra did come and seduce him, so Kristen might think like, hey, she might just be like happy with me. We formed a real bond, which they have.
Yep.
But it's not like true love, which is what I think he forgets. It's not like she's not deeply, madly, hopelessly in love with him. She just really likes him.
Well, and what he sadly doesn't know is that really they had sex because she just got all
Right.
worked up from her uncle.
Right. Well, and I
Like,
mean, yeah, it's a two-pronged, reasoning. Like, yeah, she got
yeah.
all up from her uncle and needed, something. But also like she chose Kristen because they did like they've had
Yeah,
some
they've had a
moments.
bond. Yeah.
We've spent time with them together, so she like trusts him. But yeah, he doesn't know this whole other piece, so but he does
Yeah.
know that how much she values, like, ascending the throne and being the queen, so he just very conveniently ignores the fact that she's very focused on that and wants it.
Yep. Right.
So, yeah, these people just, like, forget who they're talking to.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, it's yeah, and then dealing with we'll get back to him later yet too, but Sir Kristen
Yeah.
Cole, we have a very we can transition to talk some also
Mhm.
about the high towers. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting how the early in the episode as well we get Otto
Mhm.
talking to Alicent about, look, you can say I overplayed my hand with this, but this is the facts. This is kind of what I said last week. It's like
Mm-mm.
you might have gone too far or whatever, but war is going to happen. And so
Mhm.
you decide, are you going to try to make this happen where your son is the heir and we can
Mhm.
potentially have peace in the realm, or you not, and
Mhm.
prepare yourself. And so I really liked this moment between the two.
Okay.
Um, and I read it as very genuine from him,
Mhm.
um, despite obviously still having his personal aspirations for himself and his house's name. But yeah, I like this little speech
Mhm.
a lot, and it was a moment where the two of them I felt like, though he was talking to his daughter, she does feel more adult now, and she is more aware than ever of like the stakes and the situation, and like
Mhm.
again continuing to feel more and more alone. So
I had a slightly different reaction to this. I thought that there were two very distinct halves to this conversation. The second half, I agree with you, was Otto actually dispensing some like decent fatherly and just kind of general advisor to his daughter who's now the queen kind of advice, like very like, if you're going to trust Rhaenyra, you have to like throw your eggs in that basket and really trust that she is not going to turn on you, or you're going to have to prepare your son to take over because you don't trust her enough,
mhm.
and you're going to have to make that really hard choice and it sucks, but I just want you to go and do it with your eyes open. And I agree with that piece of the conversation felt very genuine between them. There's clearly not a lot of like genuine ability between them to express affection. Um because, Otto's too like into his like political games, and Allison is too has, I think, for him been like too naive and innocent and biddable, that there's not like a lot of respect there, I think. So, but this is the two of them doing the best they can to express that, that regret that he's now going to be parted from her, that he'll be leaving, their family's being ripped apart.
You don't think Otto respects Allison?
I don't think he does, not
Hmm.
truly, because she's always done what he's asked of her. She hasn't shown up until now, up until this episode, any particular inclination to either seize power for herself, take advantage of being the queen, like get into her role and like utilize and exercise her power. I mean, every time we've seen her, like when they're at the hunt, she's very like awkward and out of place, and just like, the circle of ladies is talking, and she's just sort of like, "Yep, I'm part of a circle of ladies." She doesn't really have like anything to say.
Hmm.
And then they have the garden party in the previous episode where again she's sort of like feeling alone and uncomfortable. People are like talking around her. Damon is being, snooty. Like he's just being Damon and giving attitude, but she's just like very clearly like wrong-footed and doesn't have like quick and clever witty things to say.
Hmm.
So I don't see Otto respecting that aspect of her. I think he loves her in his own way. I just don't think he like thinks she's ever going to be a player in the game without him giving her a real push.
Okay.
Which this episode, I think, through circumstance does. It gives her a real
Sure.
push to become a player.
Sure.
So if Otto could see her now, I think he would probably respect her.
Sure. Yeah.
I
No.
do have to address, like, the first half of that conversation, though. I was, like, super tired of Otto being like, "Why didn't you do anything? Like, you're the one that got me
Mm,
kicked out." And I was like, "Nope, nope, nope.
yeah.
Like, you overplayed your hand. That was on you."
Right.
She even says it. She's like, "If you hadn't pushed Aegon so hard, like, you could still be here." And that's
Yeah.
some truth. I'm not gonna
Yep.
lie. Like, I like the job, Rice Ifans has done with this character. I like the way he's played it, but, yeah, I was a little like, "Don't you blame your daughter for you getting kicked out. She had nothing to do with that."
Hmm. Yep. Yeah. No, I definitely don't agree with that. The beginning remarks there for sure. Um, but I like the moment between them, and I like the
Mhm.
stakes that were set,
Yep,
and
yep, I
and I
agree.
feel like she is at a point where she believes that and realizes that, and I think that's borne out in the episode. We just saw the shot of her interrupting the king's speech,
Mm,
and whilst in as they point out in the show, in the
screaming.
wartime colors of their house, and we
Mhm,
also get the line, speaking with her family, that we're on your side. So it's setting up this idea that she is she is aware of the threats, and
mhm.
she is finding, um, potentially starting to find her own alliance. Like,
Yes.
find who is with her, find who has her back, find who she can depend on, because
Mhm,
she's not sure that she can depend on certain other people. And
mhm,
I think that conversation sets up this well, her going forward,
mhm,
and taking the baton in a way from her father,
mhm,
and representing her house.
mhm. Yeah,
I'm interested in this family and how this dynamic is going, and like what kind of war is about to happen here.
yeah, I I'm having a hard time because I like Allison getting a backbone because I've mentioned in previous episodes how her naivete and her innocence and her belief that everybody can just get along is just like straining my patience and just like the I don't know, believability of her character. It's just like so much. Like, how can you do this one thing and then be like, why can't we all just like hug and get along? And it's just like, ugh. But I had a hard time with this episode and everybody pushing Alicent to be pitted against Rhaenyra. Like
Hmm.
first Otto does it, and then Lionel Strong's son, I cannot remember his name, and I feel bad. Is it no,
Uh
Harwin is his other son, isn't it?
oh, yeah, I know who you mean. Yeah, his the cane and
The
stuff. Yeah,
yes,
he's
yes. So
feeble.
unfortunately, like, yeah, he's crippled in some way. I don't know if they already mentioned it was from birth or if it was just a young age. But he just like comes up and he's like, "Let me just like spill some goss about,
Yeah.
you know, Rhaenyra maybe like was ill and oh she got some tea and Viserys sent it to her." And I was like, "What is this doing? Like, why are you like secretly a hater of your father and don't want him to be hand? Or like why are we getting in good with the queen? Like, do we not like Rhaenyra? Like, what is
Yeah.
happening here?"
Yeah.
So and then I didn't love Kristen Cole just being super weak and buckling to like Allison's horribly innocent and clumsy attempts to like get the truth from
You
him.
didn't like that?
No, I did not.
Oh, I
No,
thought that was good.
they felt like a pair of middle schoolers who were just like in some sort of awkward situation, and then Sir Kristen
Ah,
just breaks. And she's not
no.
even pressing him that hard. She just
That
like
he doesn't need to be pressed hard. That's the point. That's like his morality, and it's the perfect setup. When as soon as this happened, I'm like, oh, this is not gonna be good
I knew
because
he
they're
was gonna
talking past
break.
each other. They're confused about the events. So I
I
thought it's a
know, and
perfect thing.
I knew it was gonna happen, and I knew that they were setting it up that way because she was
Mhm.
so, like, dancing around the subject and kept trying to, like, bring it up in different ways, and I was just, like, annoyed because to me it was, like, the weakest interrogation ever. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Because she
yeah,
was
because
so awkward about it.
she's not
She's
really
not good at
there
that
to
sort of thing.
interrogate.
But
She's not
but
like,
she is.
I
She's,
mean,
like,
she
trying
is
to
trying
get
to
to the
find
truth.
answers, so technically by interrogation term definition, but comes with along with that the idea that it's like something forceful or something, she's just like,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
why I was just like, it's so weak. Like, it's so just like, "Oh, like, tell me a thing," and he just, like, cracks. There's no like, he took I mean, he's so like, "I took vows and I took, things about my honor and whatever," and he just, like, cracks at every single one of them. Like, he cracks at the chastity, he cracks at, like, protecting Rhaenyra, who he's supposed to be, like, his charge. He's sworn as her Kingsguard.
he
Like,
thinks she
there's
knows though.
loyalty there, but it doesn't matter. There's just, like, you don't need to be confirming or denying anything.
You feel bad already about being deceptive. And so your queen now is questioning you and you're like, she knows. The better course for me and for for my fate and my conscience is to come clean.
If
I
he was
totally understand that.
I totally don't. Like, he is just like I said, he broke his vows, he broke them again, like, he
So now he's
on
supposed
the
to
one
just be a
hand
liar forever? He's just
no,
supposed to
like,
like double
he's
down?
no, he's like, "Don't torture me, just kill me." Like, if he feels so bad about it, and if he feels like he broke his Kingsguard vows, like, go exile yourself or go, like, enact your own punishment. Instead, he just, like, creeps around and skulks around and continues to wear the white cloak even though he's like, "I have no honor left." And I didn't like his characterization this episode.
Well,
It was
his queen
just
let him
so
go, you know?
so what though? If he feels truly bad about what he's done and, like, knows what his punishment is supposed to be, like, do something instead
That's
of just
why
being
he
like,
cracks.
I know, but, like, it didn't lead up to believable for me. Like, the
It
scene in which he interacts with Joffrey and gets pushed and tested totally felt like he would crack over that because Joffrey was being an ass about knowing his secret. Like, apparently all people named Joffrey in this show just, like, have to be assholes, like, they really do.
Yeah,
I
let
knew the
let's give
second he opened
Jason
his
a
mouth
reprieve, and
I
let's
know,
give
yeah.
Joffrey,
Anybody
right?
who wants to name their kid Joffrey, be
Mhm.
like, you're on alert right now, you're gonna be an asshole. Um, because, yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when he said his full name, I was like, "Oh, he's gonna be a jerk." And he totally was, he was just, like, needling Sir Criston in a way that he did not need to be needled.
Mhm.
If there was like a thing that you wanted to bring up about like we know your secret and we should all keep it to protect each other, much better way to approach that with Sir Kristen than this like bullying like don't they look good together and don't you know like I know that we know the secret like his whole tone was like smarmy and jerkish and it was just like the wrong approach to take.
He misread him. He misread him as his character because
Did. There was a lot of
y
that in this episode, like misreading
yeah,
characters.
yes. We'll go back and forth here, but like I was, obviously with this whole scene is building a lot of tension in different ways, and we're like, what is going to happen? What is our red wedding situation here now? Like,
I know,
how
right?
is the tension going to break?
How is this
Because we
wedding
have,
gonna get effed
yeah,
up?
we have Damon being confronted by his
Mhm.
wife's,
Well, Damon arriving at all was
yeah,
just like I was very aware that he was there to make a mess.
right. So all kinds of things, and I I mean, we're obviously meant to be, but I was confused at the fight that broke out. And I honestly would
I
have
was too.
rather seen the moment that makes Cole snap
Mhm.
than just
Yes.
think it happens, assuming it happens and be okay with that.
I agree because the I was very confused as to how this like melee started. And it took me a while to realize that like Kristen was the cause of it.
Right.
And I just felt like it wasn't super believable because he had the moment with Joffrey and Joffrey passed by him and yeah, they were all tense and like it was a great moment to snap, but he took too long to snap.
Yeah.
It was
There had
like
to be
3
another
minutes
interaction.
later. It was like 3 minutes later and I was like, "Now? Now he's
Mhm.
real mad and now he's going to go find Joffrey?" Like that's so weird. Like, we had
S-
a whole, like, mini scene take place with Damon and Rhaenyra, which was, like, insane important to the plot
Yes.
lines of everything and, like, proposing different things happening. But it was not a short conversation that they had, and then finally at the end of that is when Kristen was like, "Here's my moment. I'm gonna go after Joffrey," and I was like, "No, I don't believe this."
I hope we find out what it was because
That there was something in this.
yeah, I failed to I've refused to believe that the conversation we saw on screen was what caused it. That was part of it. We became aware of it's like the reminder that someone else knows of his discrepancies, his like problems and his like loss of honor and all this stuff
Mhm.
and someone's going to be a problem for him potentially, and there had to be another thing, something
Mm.
more. So I hope we find that what that is. Um,
Yeah, I was very confused at this point. Like,
mhm.
I thought something else was happening. Like somebody was entering. There was like a raiding party, or like
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Just like something bigger was happening than that caused this like near stampede.
yeah,
Than
right.
the fight between
And then
Christian.
other people started fighting too. There's that one guy, I don't know who it
Yeah,
was. He was kind of handsome and stuff. And he started beating on people. It's like, what's
I know. I
happening? What is happening
I
here?
had no idea what was going on.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
So
that was a very
yeah,
that was. I mean, it was a good unexpected way because you didn't know which piece of like all the tension puzzle was going to break and fracture and cause like the incident that was going to ruin this feast,
yeah.
but you knew something was going to.
It it was a it was a it was subverting expectations in a
Hmm.
way that if you'd seen Game of Thrones, you're like, what is going to happen? And it was really the more realistic option at an
Hmm.
event where a fight breaks out.
Right,
It's not like elaborate scheme,
right,
like this is a big
right.
takedown, this is something that's been orchestrated. None of that stuff. This is a fight, a problem between two people, and it was handled in,
That got
violence.
messy.
Yeah,
Oof.
yeah.
That shot of Joffrey's face at the end there, that was graphic.
Mhm. Now, you mentioned, of course, the other pivotal scene, and I guess I'm revealing something terrible about myself because I very much wanted Damon to do what Rhaenyra was challenging him to
Mm,
do.
mhm.
She wants this too. She was to me, this is how this reads. She wanted him. It's like, fine, take me, kill the King's Guard, take me back to Dragonstone,
Dragonstone, mhm.
and that's it.
Let's
We're gonna
get
do it.
married.
And
Mhm.
yep. And I was like, just do it. Is that going to be the
Yep.
thing? Do it because I'm good with this at this point because look, they're not my relatives. I'm not related to them. I'm not in relation. So you guys go for it.
Right,
And
right. Well,
I
and
like the chemistry between the two
yeah,
and whatever.
yeah, well, and like we've said before, this is a very specific show in which, like, this is acceptable in this universe.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, this I mean, Game of Thrones was already a show that tried to, like, convince us or did, convince us that, Targaryens would marry brother to sister, and that was not out of the realm of ordinary.
Right.
So, uncle to niece feels weirdly better somehow in
Hmm.
the terms of, like, the incest chain, and I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. But, I mean, set context, context, context. So,
Yeah.
set within this world, Damon and Rhaenyra's relationship, it's not a stretch to believe that this is okay and that this would be acceptable. Um, like you said, I like the chemistry between the two actors, between the two characters. I think it works well. I think it's set up to work well, and it's set up to make us kind of root for them to get together.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that like her marriage to Lenore, I don't know how to exactly the right inflection, but we all know it's a marriage of political convenience. So there's no love lost there. So we're not rooting for them.
Right. Yeah.
So where are we gonna like, put our like there's
There's a
spark, there's
forbidden
connection,
passion.
there's passion. Yep. This is where it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
And it's been so well like set up through the
mhm.
course of the season,
Mhm.
the relationship here. So I it ultimately I liked the episode a lot,
Mhm.
though it had its unsatisfying moments,
Mhm.
which is fine because there's a realism to that. You gotta balance the satisfaction
Right.
and what like is desirable with what is possible and realistic and works for the story.
Mhm.
So yeah, uh kind of bittersweet for me for the episode. But
Yeah.
it really has me like I'm really worried about the next episode. I'm excited and really worried
Mhm.
because the next episode we're clearly getting the big time jump and we're
Mhm.
changing actresses.
Mhm.
And I am still so not happy about that in this moment.
I know, me neither.
These women are old enough. I don't know the number of years, but Matt Smith isn't changing,
Mhm.
like all these other people, they're just make up them older, you know?
Mhm.
And I am really not I've grown to care for and like the portrayal of these characters by these
Yep.
actresses, and I do not want them to go away. So there's a really big challenge in this next episode. This is the proving point to me now. We
To make
had
this work.
early on, it was like, okay, episode one, wow, okay, nice. The proving point is episode two. Is it still good? All right, it
Mhm.
was. This is the next one where we're
Mhm.
doing the new actresses, and I'm ready to be disappointed, and I really
Mhm.
hope I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think an episode ago I would have half disagreed with you in that I was sort of okay with Allison's character being aged up and changing actresses because she was so young and so naive that I was just sort of ready for a more mature take on her character. And then in this episode, I really felt like her entire character did mature, age up, felt more like settled in herself. And I was like, shoot, like I really would have liked to see where this could have been taken with this actress now because she did make that shift and I would be okay with her moving forward. I'm I was always against like Rhaenyra
Mm,
being shifted because I really like this actress, Millie Alcock, I think her name is. But I really love what she's done with the character. I love her characterization. I felt in this episode too, she matured. We've said a lot about her, needing to prove herself as heir to the realm, and in this episode was a lot about like ready to do my duty, ready to move forward, ready to accept the political calculations and steps and alliances that I have to undergo, accept, respect to be the one on the throne. So I really felt
mm.
like this was a great already aging up episode for those girls.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think so
yeah,
too.
now I am really really nervous about next week's episode and how I'm going to be receptive to two new actresses.
Mhm. I mean, I'd love to be proven totally wrong here.
Yeah.
My fears put aside, but especially for women, like there can be convincingly like the difference between 16 and 30 can be
Mhm.
pretty like what are you, depending on the
Mhm.
person, the mannerisms, the way you dress, all that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um we believed that Chris Evans like jacked whatever was in high school and whatever that one movie was, it's like
Yeah.
this is not at
We do it
all
backwards
realistic.
all the time. We
Yeah.
pretend like 27-year-olds or 16-year-olds, like,
Yeah.
why can't yeah, why can't
Right.
we just, like, turn it around? Because it's
Yes.
actually probably more accurate that way.
Right. I
Like,
mean,
I
they
don't I
can.
don't know how I look, but sometimes I still feel like I don't look that terribly different from, like, my college ages, you know?
Yeah, right. I mean, you see a picture and there's something different, but
Yeah.
it contributes to like I say, dress, mannerisms,
Mhm,
like all this stuff like adds up, over time or whatever. Um, Softer features or something,
mhm,
but that's all stuff that can be that we can suspend our disbelief for.
mhm,
Even the Harry Potter kids, again, the other way around. They start very young, pretty age accurate, and just with the pace of the movies and the way they come out, they're much older by the time they're done. But
mhm.
I way prefer that and letting that slide than a recast in the middle.
Yep.
So, look, I'm complaining before the fact, so of
Mhm.
course I don't know. It
Yep.
just to me at this point really sucks
Mhm,
because I like these people. And the actress for Allison, I feel like she's had a better slower transition to maturity. Like I love the moments where she's like sponge bathing her husband and stuff. That to me shows a maturity and stuff. And like, even though she's
I'm gonna tell
naive.
Ashley that.
Okay. Sponge
Alright,
my
sorry.
lesions. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I just I don't know. I I don't want to. I'm not. Obviously, I'm going to watch it, and I'm hoping it's great. It
Yeah.
seems like an unnecessary decision at this point,
Yeah. I think it's
considering.
fair to be this concerned.
Mhm, mhm, yeah.
Sorry, considering what?
Well, I mean, Matt Smith doesn't look old in the next one. We've seen
Mhm.
the preview for the next episode. Obviously,
Right.
the king looks older, but he has health issues. His
Right.
his physicality is deteriorating much quicker.
I
And
am
we're
okay. While we're on the king, I thought he died like 3 times this episode. I was just like every time, I was just like,
the like
"Ah!"
going to the white light
Yes.
moment, it transition was like, did he just die? He just
Right?
died.
Right? And then
Yeah.
they're like yeah, oh my god, there were so many moments, like, the
He
transition,
collapsed.
the laying down in the bath, the collapse, like, yeah, so many
Mhm.
things. When he laid down in the bath and then the next scene was, like, 2 dragons, I was like, "Oh my god, it's gonna be, like, older, um, Laenor and Rhaenyra, like,
Mm.
soaring to their keep or whatever," and I was just like, "What?" Like
Mhm.
and then it clearly wasn't, it was just the beginning of the wedding festivities, but
Yeah.
seriously, I just every time I thought, like, "There he goes."
Yep. Yep.
God,
Well, and I have to say with the
Sarah.
preview for the next episode, again, it looks like so what is gonna it seems to me is gonna happen is Rhaenyra is gonna be like, yeah, well, my husband's gay, so I'm having sex with other people, and we're now having kids, and they none of them have silver hair or white hair. And because someone in the preview is like, one can be dismissed, but three?
Oh my god,
So
it's such an
we're gonna
echo of Robert and his bastards.
Yes. So
Oh
we're
my
gonna
god.
have like what we're gonna have is Allison's strengthening claim
Yes.
to the throne and for her
Well,
son being
Aegon.
heir.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he'll probably come out with, I don't know what he'll look right or whatever, he'll
He
fit.
did when he was young. I'm
So yeah,
pretty
he'll
sure
be the one that's like,
the little
I,
boy
I
that they
guarantee he'll
had
be the one that's
silver hair.
competent with silver hair and all this stuff. He'll look like he's meant to be there. And then Rhaenyra will have 3 kids, and they'll all be, like, black hair, and everybody's gonna be
That
like,
that would be a little bit on the nose.
a little bit on the nose for
Yeah.
so, yeah, I don't
I
know.
just mean in terms of, like, Robert Baratheon, because all of his bastards had black hair, and that was, like, the telling sign that
Oh, sure.
Joffrey wasn't his son.
They just need to have white hair, right?
Right.
Like, even just to be seen as, like, carrying the Valyrian and Targaryen family through, that has to happen for the
Right.
symbol of it,
Right.
so Alan's telling us we gotta wrap up, or
Yep, yep,
Judge Judy is.
yep.
Oh, I
Yeah.
liked it. But there was some unsatisfying moments, but really intrigued for the future,
Mhm.
but also very worried for the future. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of feels, or a lot of emotions
Yeah.
in this. So
Which, I mean, so far is the sign I think of a good series. There's a lot of feels, there's a lot of, like, strong reactions. They're not always gonna be the things you want, but you said,
yep,
like you said, sometimes it's just gotta be realistic, and it's
yep,
not the things we so yeah, I overall just feel the show has been so solid, but yes, now I am terrified. I've liked the time leaps before, and now I'm terrified of this next one because we're getting 2 new actresses.
yeah,
And obviously, like, that's not their decision. That's,
no,
a writer's decision, a director's decision. Um, so props to these 2 young actresses. I hope that they can come in and fill some big shoes. I mean, nothing on them right now, and then we'll see how they do after next week.
yeah, yeah. I just, I'm, I feel I've managed to disregard the bad parts of Game of Thrones and not be bothered by that. And so I've been so happy that Game of Thrones is back. It
Mm,
feels good. It's like was not willing to say that for a while, and it feels
yeah,
really good to have this every week.
yeah,
Because I have missed it. And so I just really hope we can finish this season strong. And yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's
Same
gonna be a
here.
few. So all right. Well, that's been House of the Dragon, or as the cool kids say, Hot D, episode 5. Um,
Never gonna not be funny.